entertain a motion to convene the zoning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first case is zoning board of appeal, town of Stoughton, notice of public hearing. Public hearing will be held in the town hall, conference room B, room 301, third floor, 10 Pearl Street, on October 24, 2013, at 7:30 PM on the petitioner John Slade, case number 4104, for finding other provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 6, under the Town of Stoughton zoning bylaw of 1970, as amended Section 6B, Table of Dimensional and Density Regulations relative to the front and side yard setbacks in order to construct a second-floor addition located at 28 Raymond Road, further identified in Assessors Plan 79, Lot 8, in an RB zone in said Stoughton. Any person desiring to receive further notice concerning this petition, as provided by the general rules of the zoning board of appeals, should file a written request containing his or her name and address with the board. Petitioner is representative of any other persons desiring to be heard in this matter should appear at time and place designated. Sherman Epro, chairman, was in the Stoughton Journal October 4th and October 11th, and I have no correspondence. So, is Mr. Slade here?
Yes, right.
Want to take the hot seat?
What's that, have a seat?
And would you like to explain to the board what you'd like to do, please?
Basically, here's the plans that we have with the existing conditions and the elevation. And then here's the floor plan.
And you're just trying to go up to a second story.
Yes. Existing foundation.
I can probably, if you want to look at the plans, I don't know whether you saw them, but I need those back. Lost my sheet. Are you on town water and town storage over there?
We're on town water, but we have septic right now.
Mr. Carter, any questions? Any questions?
No question.
Any questions?
Just, the existing setback of the house, is that the 29 feet?
Yes.
And are you creating any new nonconformities with this? Are you,
No. Directly straight up. Yeah.
so it won't be overhanging at all from
Nope.
where the house is? No further questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Actually, you'd be the first one on the street to start with the second floor, right? I was there today, I didn't see any other houses on the second floor.
If you look down the end of the street, there's a two-story.
Isn't that a different development?
It's at the end of the street. I mean, there's photos of my house when I purchased it, that they got that house in the photos. But yeah, I guess on the street, there's no other second two-story homes. There's raised ranches and capes. Second floors.
Mr. McGrath, do you have any problems with that?
No, and I'd just like to say, I've said before on these, vertical additions that, I wish our zoning code wasn't as strict as it is. In a lot of towns, you could do this by right because it didn't create any new nonconformities. He's adding a second level. 2 levels are allowed in the neighborhood. He's only slightly nonconforming because the existing building he's building on is slightly nonconforming. I think if ever there's a case of a good section 6, I think this is what it's designed for.
Good, that's the way I felt. Oh,
How many square feet area should be here in order to do the second floor? Is there any restriction on the land size? What was, according to the chart, it's 50,000 square feet required for RV area. This is only 16,750.
It's an existing nonconformity.
It's an existing nonconformity, and he's just going up, and he really isn't going out at all. It's you're not having any overhangs and stuff, right?
No.
It's actually just going straight up.
Before, for the land size.
Well, that's one of the, yeah, it's a, I'm trying to word this thing.
Yeah, it was before the zoning
Yeah.
laws came in.
Pre-existing.
Yeah, pre-existing non-conforming. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions or anything they want to say on it? We are.
I just wanted to know, I'm very excited for you. But I also wanted to know, like, when you're going to, like, it's going to be over the winter, or when you plan.
Well, the plan was if we got approved for the variance, we would go for the permit, which takes about a week or 2. And then the windows take about 8 to 10 weeks, so that would put us into January sometime in the middle of winter. So we'd probably wait until spring to start construction.
You also have to wait for us to draw up a decision.
Right.
So we probably wouldn't draw a decision until, it would probably be written for the next meeting.
Okay.
And then there's a 21-day appeal period, 20-day appeal period from you. Okay, what's the wish of the board?
Move that we make a finding that the proposal before us would not increase the non-conforming nature of the existing structure.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's all we need for section 6. From what I can tell from town council's opinion. So I move that we issue a section 6 finding decision, draft a decision to issue section 6 finding in this case.
All in favor?
Aye.
We already voted
Can I
for
just
it.
ask, which of the 5 members voting on this case?
All 5 regulars.
All 5 regulars, okay.
We're in trouble, we have 5 regulars now. Okay, that's it. We'll probably, like I said, we'll probably draw up a decision for the next meeting. We'll vote on it, and then you can talk, actually, you can talk with Mr. McGrath and sort of get started on it.
And
You can't start building yet.
You want, if you haven't already, you want to talk to the health department because there may be some issues. I didn't count the before and after bedrooms, but there may be some issues with your existing septic system and
Yeah,
the
I talked to
capacity.
the health, and they said that I'm not changing the bedrooms, it's
Okay.
going to be 3 bedrooms.
Okay, Mm,
So they said they're okay.
okay.
So I'll be notified by mail, I'll have to come to the next hearing.
You don't have to come to the next hearing. You'll be notified.
Okay.
And you, like I said, you can check with Mr. McGrath and.
Call our office.
Okay.
And we'll keep you posted.
All right, thank you very much.
As quick as we work, you should be able to have an answer by August.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Go here. Okay, guess we'll take up the next hearing. Zoning Board of Appeal, Town of Stoughton, notice public hearing. Public hearing will be held in the Town Hall, Conference Room B, Room 301, third floor, 10 Pearl Street on October 24th, 2013 at 7:32 PM on the petition of GCCF New England LLC, represented by Attorney Barry R. Crimmins, case number 4105, for a special permit under the Town of Stoughton zoning bylaw of 1970 as amended Section 5D, Table of Use Regulations. Accessory uses, item number 14, accessory gas storage and pumping facilities for use by the principal use and not as a separate business. In order to install 4 gasoline pumps as part of the Cumberland Farms convenience store to be constructed at 500 to 594 Washington Street, further identified in Assessors Plan 55, Lot 134, 135, and 138 in the general business zone in said Stoughton. Any person desiring to receive further notice concerning this petition as provided by the general rules of the Zoning Board of Appeal should file a written request containing his or her name and address with the board. Petitioner or his representative or any other person desiring to be heard in this matter should appear at the time and place designated. Sherman L. Epros, Chairman, Stoughton Journal, October 4th, October 11th, 2013. And I have a affidavit of agency. I, Robert Shavaro of Shavaro Enterprises LLC of Massachusetts Limited Liability Company with the address of 31 Spellman Road, Westwood, Mass. Hereby appoint Attorney Barry Crimmins of 909 Washington Street, Stoughton, Massachusetts, to act as our agents for the purpose of submitting and processing certain applications for any necessary variances or special permits submitted to the Stoughton Zoning Board of Appeal for my property located at 595-94 Washington Street. Executed this 20th day of September 2013. Robert Chavayo, manager. I don't know if we got this, but I have a letter from Mr. Crimmins, just stating that he gave us the special application. I don't think I have to read that in. And we have a couple of decisions, from Mr. McGrath, and I believe this is from Alana Quirk, the town lawyer for the zoning board. I don't think I have to read those. So, with that said and done, and the Red Sox getting ready to start, Mr. Crimmins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Attorney...
We need to waive the reading of the butters or anything?
Actually, we should, I make a motion, we open case number 41.
40105.
4105.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion, we waive the reading of the abutters.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I make a motion, we accept the questions, answers to question number 8 as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, I can probably put the, any of the people are here, I'll put the, if anybody wants to see the map. Okay, Mr. Crimmins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Attorney Barry R. Crimmins of 909 Washington Street in Stoughton, here on behalf of the applicant, which is GCCF New England LLC. I'd like to introduce the members of the project team who are here with me this evening, who may be addressing the board. We have Ms. Tracy Roll, who is Vice President of Real Estate Development with T.M. Crowley on behalf of the applicant. We have Mr. Christian Fallon, who is our project engineer and is the principal of Thompson Fallon Engineers. And we have Mr. Gary McNaughton, who is our traffic engineer with McMahon Transportation Engineers. You'll see on the boards that Christian has put up, the board to the left shows the site plan for the proposed development. The board to the right gives you two pictures, and I'm going to hand out smaller versions of that so that the members won't have to crane their necks. But the left picture is a picture of the existing site. The right picture is a picture of the proposed Cumberland Farms convenience store. There we go. That's actually probably a better one, Christian. Thank you. If I may, maybe, Marguerite, you want to start those on your side? You can start these on this side.
Yeah.
And what I've just handed out, Mr. Chairman, again, are two views, both existing and proposed. One is standing probably across at Glen Street, Rose Glen Street, I should say, the street that intersects Lastoria Restaurant and the strip mall that contains the Citizens Bank and Beantown Diner, and looking across at the site. The site, if you're not acquainted, it's just up from Lincoln Street. The address is two parcels, 590, 594 Washington Street in Stoughton. So the site previously, the vacant piece on the left-hand side of the site, many of you may remember, and many of you may have bowled in the old Stoughton bowling alley, or what was called the Stoughton Sports Center. That was on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, the white building most recently contained the Bank of America bank before they moved down by or in front of Stop and Shop. I also have a larger view, and maybe if I can pass these out to you folks, you can get a better picture of what the proposed location will look like. Again, what you see in that picture by way of reference, on the right-hand side of the proposed Cumberland Farms store, you see the canopy of the Rockland Trust drive-through, so for just point of orientation. And way over on the left, that blue building.
That looks better.
Oh, did you get a bad one there? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, have a whole one.
My printer was not cooperating with me today. Do we need any more? Everyone have one? I do. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. On the left-hand side is the existing nightclub that folks are certainly acquainted with. What we are proposing, Cumberland Farms, as you folks I'm sure know, has an existing convenience store with gas pumps located at, I've seen it listed as both 497 and 499 Washington Street, but it's at the corner of Paul Street, across from the Anton Strip Mall, where if you're facing the store, you have the Phillips Screw Machine Building to the right on the opposite corner of Paul Street, and on the left-hand side is the area that, well, I guess most recently contained the Gold's Gym before they moved to Tosca Drive, and there was an Applebee's restaurant, or some of you old townies might remember as the Roxy Supermarket many years ago. So as part of this proposal, in conjunction with the construction of the new Cumberland Farms convenience store, we would be closing the existing store at 499 Washington Street. And in fact, if the board wishes, Cumberland Farms is willing to enter into an agreement with the board in the form of a restrictive covenant that would be contained in the deed, that when they sell that property, it would no longer be used as either a convenience store or as gasoline. So they are in agreement to restrict that. So the net effect, in essence, is what you have before you is a proposal to build a newer Cumberland Farms at a better site, a larger site that provides us with better internal circulation, better means of access and egress to and from the site. You'll see on the site plan that was submitted, as well as on the assessor's map, that in addition to, well, actually, Christian, maybe if you can assist me and point out, in addition to the 2 curb cuts that we would have on Washington Street, we also have the rear access and egress out to Lincoln Street. If you recall, when Bank of Boston was still there, that was a driveway that allowed you to access the rear of the Bank of Boston building and brought you right up to the drive-through there. So we have 3 points of access and egress, 2 along Washington Street and the 1 along Lincoln Street, to help spread the traffic out, entering and exiting the site. The store itself, the Cumberland Farms store, is a 4,500 square foot convenience store. The store itself, I guess technically, is not before you in the sense that that use is a use that's allowed as of right. The request that's before you is for accessory gas storage and pumping facilities. Basically, in order to have the gasoline pumps there, we need a special permit for the accessory use. I should note, through some research that I did on recently on another case, it may be in fact that the special permit is not even needed, but we had already filed for the special permit, so we are proceeding on that basis. So we think this is not only certainly an improvement to the site, again, a site which presently contains a vacant lot with an old foundation on it that used to be the bowling alley, as well as the Bank of Boston building, a Bank of America building that has been vacant for, well, as long as since they moved down the street down by Stop and Shop. We also think that this is a better site than the existing Cumberland Farms site for the reasons that I already alluded to in terms of access to and from the site, in terms of circulation within the site. It's going to improve the tax base of the site to generate additional tax revenue for the community. And so we think it's really a win-win situation. It's something that improves the existing site, while at the same time makes for a better store for the public. The special permit, again, that is before you is a special permit for accessory gas storage and pumping facilities, which is a use that is allowed by special permit in the general business zone that we are located in. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, and being cognizant of the time, the Red Sox game, and certainly the fact that I know you have 2 other hearings on your agenda tonight, I'll pause at this point to see if I can respond to any questions that either the members may have or anyone in the audience may have.
I can start.
Yep.
What did we do about traffic, and what kind of studies did we do?
Sure.
And what are we doing to
Gary,
alleviate
would you
it?
like to introduce yourself and speak to that issue?
Sure. How you doing? Gary McNaughton with McMahon Associates. At this stage in the process, and the project really has much further to go, we've just done a quick assessment of how this project's going to generate traffic compared to the existing site. The use gets a little bit bigger, the store gets a little bit bigger, they're adding a pump. So all that being totaled, and I know you'll understand the pass-by rates, it ends up drawing about 15 to 20 new cars. You know, those cars come in and leave, so in trips, it ends up being about twice that, the 30 to 40 trips. But not drawing a significant number of new cars to the area roadways compared to what you already have going to the existing site. And those are purely based on the fact that you're adding a fuel pump, the store is getting a little bit bigger. But in reality, you know, people are getting gas and getting their convenience products somewhere already. So it's not expected to have a large influx of traffic onto the roadway, but the specific numbers show about 15 to 20 new cars over the course of the peak hours. We did also, we had some count data, some recent count data for the Lincoln Street intersection, and we used that to assess the site driveways. In the morning peak hour, they're expected to operate in the level of service C range. For those of you that don't hear as much traffic as we may, level of service is a letter grade A through F. I always say there's two differences between that and what you'd get in school. One is you can get an E, and two is that a D is actually considered pretty good. So the site drives exiting in the morning operate at level of service C. In the afternoon, they're shown to operate at level of service E, but under capacity. And as the project goes forward, we'll be doing further assessment of it as it gets into planning and elsewhere, and eventually to Mass DOT.
That's the site drive at Lincoln Street, or that's the
No,
Lincoln
those are
Street, Washington Street
The two
intersection?
site drives on Washington Street, how they would operate. It's expected that, you know, nobody's really going to exit the site to come back out to get to Lincoln Street to get onto Washington Street. If they're using that back exit, it's because they're going off on Lincoln Street away from Washington Street. The Washington Street site drives would serve that main 38 traffic.
Have you done any analysis for the Lincoln Street and Washington?
We have not specifically as part of this project, again, because we don't think this project's going to really add traffic to that intersection because of that rear access driveway. You know, it's something that could be done as the project advances, but we haven't done that as of yet.
So to twist that, then the current intersection has a problem, right? And basically this site of that magnitude, I would assume, you know, may not add much traffic to it. However, for its proximity to the intersection and knowing that Washington Street is one way in each direction, so the access and egress to the site is going to be a detriment to the through traffic, basically. So there has to be something done there to make the maneuver safer, basically, between the traffic entering and exiting the site and the through traffic that goes through there. And because we are adjacent to that intersection, I would think that something has to happen there as well to improve the safety in the area. So,
I mean, we can certainly look at the intersection, as I had indicated, because of that rear driveway. And you can kind of picture how, if there's traffic off in this direction, they're going to come in and turn here, and then they're going to leave and go off in that direction. There's really not expected to be anybody doing this or this that would add traffic to that intersection. So what you see out there today, which has some operational problems, those are not going to be affected or impacted by this project. But you know, certainly something that if the town's interested.
Melissa.
Well, if I'm listening to you correctly, though, isn't your point that if somebody's taking a right into the site, and they might be blocking up cars that are going to impact the ability to,
That's are going through, yes.
that are trying to go through and maneuver themselves from Lincoln Street onto Washington Street, so there is going to be impact to that
Well,
intersection.
there's no traffic added to that movement, the critical movement coming out of Lincoln Street. That's where most of your problems are going to occur. Yes, there are cars that are going to be turning right into the site. You know, making a right turn, you really have no delays. You're not waiting for gaps in traffic. You have that free time. You are slowing down a little bit, so there is that effect of the slowing vehicles. But, you know, we are beyond the existing bank driveway. Again, it's a right turn movement in, so it's not expected to operate with any appreciable delays. One of the benefits of the site is, you know, compared to the existing, driveways are designed with more standard radii, curves coming in. The facility is further back from the street. I know on the other site, we had actually been dealing with Cumberland Farms and DOT with the sidewalk work that was done out there recently. There's no radius on those curbs, so cars coming into that site either have to slow more, or, as has happened quite a bit, they're hitting the curb and having tire damage. This one is a more standard design with that curb radius coming in, so that cars can more safely and more effectively make that turn compared to what they do on the existing site.
Can I add? Just to tell you kind of the perspective I'm looking at it from, so just for some of you, I'm a traffic engineer and Gary is a traffic engineer, so that's why we kind of speak in the same language in a way, but the behavior of the driver is different than the number of vehicles. So you get people who are elderly sometimes that they need to access the site, so they don't access the site in a speed that will be high as a younger person, let's say that. And what you get is like the people who are really impatient behind that vehicle trying to enter in one lane, they're going to go the opposite to bypass that vehicle. So that technically that's going to create some sort of safety concern. So that's why we are saying that the expectation is going to be to do something, and that will sit in line with the long-term plan of the town, part of the master plan. So we would expect something. We can't say that, you know, yeah, we add one vehicle or two vehicles. It's not going to add that much impact. However, there is a problem there. And basically, you going there, you're going to own that. That's what I'm saying.
It is obviously, just for those that aren't aware, the state highway layout starts there at Lincoln Street. So obviously, the Washington Street curb cuts will have to be approved by DOT, Department of Transportation.
Along with any other
Right.
changes, anything that happens out there.
I'm all set, thanks.
You all
Right.
set?
No, I'm not.
Should we go
Yeah,
somewhere else?
I'm sure you know what I'm gonna be asking you about.
I never know what you're going to ask me, Marguerite.
So very
It's
important.
always interesting and never dull.
Well, I read the building inspector's decision and town council's opinion, and I'm kind of surprised to see this case before us, because my understanding was that the building inspector opined that you didn't have the ability to do this, and town council supported that. Am I misreading it?
I think that's the case.
No, my opinion was that, you know, I saw the distinction between an automotive repair shop and the sale of gasoline. And I thought that since the convenience store, the store part of this was, could be permitted as of right, I thought that the section in the code that allows for the storage and pumping of gasoline, not as a separate business, I thought that could be, I'm not sure that that's why it's in the zoning code, but I certainly thought that it could apply here. And that was my opinion. I think my opinion differs slightly from town council's decision, but I don't think it's dramatically inconsistent with, some of the, the findings that she made.
Okay, well, maybe I wasn't understanding the way that you were wording this, because the way I interpreted both of these together was that the storage itself was okay. The pumping facility for the principal use of the business, which would mean, and as I understood it, would be if Cumberland Farms needed gas for its employees, it could provide that, but not as a separate sale. The sale itself was not something that could occur.
Well, I mean, I had a conversation, with Mr. Crimmins about, I wrote a letter telling that I couldn't approve this as of right, and my intention with the memo that I wrote was to sort of show a path of, how this could, might be approved by this board. Now, it's up to you to determine whether that's what you want to do or not, but,
I still, and I'm rereading town council's opinion, I mean, I think that's how I read her opinion, that she says that it is, she says, in my opinion, it would not be reasonable to interpret the code as allowing a convenience store use to include the sale of gasoline use.
I think, if I may, I think that was, as Mr. McGrath referred to, responding to a question whether or not that could be allowed as a right and not by special permit. I think when you read the accessory use section of the bylaw that we have applied under, accessory gas storage and pumping facilities for use by the principal use and not as a separate business. It's not a separate business. The use, the principal use, is the Cumberland Farms convenience store. The accessory use, and according to even the definition in our bylaw of accessory use, we meet the definition of accessory use. The accessory use is the gasoline aspect of it. I'll read the definition in the bylaw for accessory use. It says, a use incidental and subordinate to the principal use of a structure or lot, or a use not the principal use, which is located on the same lot as the principal structure. Accessory use by area shall be interpreted not to exceed 40% of the area of the total use of the structure or lot on which it is located. So the site is a 1.6 acre site where the gasoline portion of that occupies something under 3,000 square feet when you take into account the pumps. So we meet the definition of accessory use. I think, again, the discussion originally that Mr. McGrath and I had first had when this case came about was whether or not that gasoline aspect even needed any special permit at all. And frankly, I was trying to make an argument with the building inspector that I thought it was simply part of the convenience store. It is a product, frankly, that the convenience store sells. But I was willing to accede to the fact that if not looked at in that standpoint, it certainly can be looked at as an accessory use to the principal use, which is the convenience store. So I think, again, we meet not only the spirit but the letter of the law in terms of what is considered an accessory use. I also think, think of what convenience stores are, even a definition in our bylaw of what in fact, it doesn't even technically say convenience store. If I may, Mr. Chairman, just bear with me for 1 second, because once again, remember, the convenience store use is allowed as a right. We're not here for approval of the convenience store, but what it does say, it says a retail establishment selling principally convenience goods, including but not limited to food, drugs, and proprietary goods. I mean, they've got a very broad and by way of very few examples of what they mean by convenience goods, but the important clause prior to that is where it says including but not limited to. And I think we would all agree that in today's marketplace, the modern day convenience store that we typically see, whether it's Cumberland Farms or any of the other similar type stores, they include the sale of gasoline as another service, another product that they sell to its customers. It's not, as Mr. McGrath alluded to, it's not automotive repair, as that term is defined in our bylaw. It's not a drive-in establishment, as that term is defined in our bylaw. Okay, so I think it's certainly well within the definition and the table of use regulations for what is appropriately defined as and referred to as an accessory use, accessory to the principal use of the convenience store.
Not sure I agree, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Looking at the plot plan as well, I see the patio area on here. Thought maybe you could explain what the purpose of that was intended for. Was there supposed to be sale of, like, restaurant,
No, I think,
food or?
Christian, do you want to address the outside area? I mean, I think it's just in the good weather, a spot where the customers could, after they've purchased, a drink, a coffee, or whatever, sit outside as opposed to just getting back into their car.
Yeah, I would move on the, protocol also has Wi-Fi, so if someone does come in, convenience for gas, they stop in, they can grab a hot dog, coffee, they can go outside, there's three tables, that will be their iPad, check their email, and that's the main purpose of it.
You doing some sort of fast food, drive-in?
We don't cook anything.
Some convenience stores seem to have an association with another
Right,
business, so
right,
just wanted to
right.
know.
If you've watched those commercials with, who's the gentleman from Baywatch? The Cumberland Farms coffee commercials? That, thank you. He has not yet.
That's all I had for now.
I don't have any questions.
This model here that you're showing, is this standard Cumberland Farms model? Yeah, this is like the one that's in West Bridgewater town?
Exactly, on 106, just before 28.
This is the exact same layout?
I'm not sure if it's exactly the same,
Probably slightly different.
More fun?
but similar.
Yeah, that one's a couple of years ago, and that one was built.
Nice, though.
Mm.
Curious as whether there's another model going on. I know that, you had, there were picnic tables outside down on,
Talking the Exxon station? That's Cumberland, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no difference, I think, between that and what you want here. Who's taking out the tanks in the old place?
Who's taking them out? We'll have a licensed site professional that will be,
Is Cumberland Farms going to, have the tanks removed if they get them?
oh, yeah. Store, again, tanks will be removed, as I mentioned, and I actually can give you I brought with me a copy of a letter from Cumberland Farms, just so there was no question that they have agreed to, it's pretty quick, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Please consider this letter as confirmation of Cumberland Farms' intention to close its existing store and gas operation located at 499 Washington Street upon the receipt of all required permits and the construction of a new convenience store and gas facility at 590-594 Washington Street. The 499 Washington Street parcel will be marketed and conveyed with restrictive covenants precluding the use of the premises as a convenience store and/or gasoline dispensing facility with said covenants running with the land. And I
They
can.
own that property?
Yes, they do.
I would like to, if you do rent it.
Marguerite?
a, condition that the tanks have to be removed before it gets occupied by any person.
The tanks would be removed.
I got
Before
one.
it gets occupied by any tenant.
The existing store. I don't see that would necessarily be a problem.
That'd be a condition I would add if the board wants to. The other thing is,
The only reason for my hesitation, I think the
Oh, I-
intent is, once we have this store up and running, the plan is to close that store, so we'd have no problem with doing that at that time. Yeah.
I don't think anybody's putting a time frame on the removal, but
Mhm.
since Cumberland owns it.
Mm. Cumberland doesn't want to be in competition with another store or another gas dispenser, so we certainly have no problem with that. I was just raising a question about the timing, that's all.
The other thing is, the sign that's on the rendering, it says,
now hiring, is that an LED sign that would flash like specials?
I don't know.
Or is it,
Do we
is
know?
that just a,
I think that was, oh, no, the part where it says now hiring?
Yeah.
I think that, well, obviously, that's temporary in nature, that portion.
Right, I mean, that looks
that
like a
portion
banner,
of
but
the
is that
sign.
gonna be a?
Yeah, no, that's just, I think it's
there an
just,
LED
I
sign
think it's
on
just
there?
that exactly, the banner. The price portion of the sign is the lidded
I
portion.
mean, you go by a lot
Lighted,
of
lidded?
signs like this, Barry, and they'll
It's not
say,
gonna be a scrolling light.
No.
no scrolling
No.
light.
But just instead of the guy going up on the ladder with the pole and changing the numbers, they're able to do it
I mean, you go by
electronically.
Walgreens or CVS and they say, hey, flu shots today, or
Yeah.
Bath towels.
Swabs.
Swabs, yeah.
I think that's why Mr. McGrath wanted to hire the new code enforcement person that he did.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, if this gets approved, you know, the sign will have to get approved on its own separate permit. And it will either have to meet the sign ordinance or need relief, so.
Pigeons are gonna like that sign. They're all on the wires, the pigeons.
Oh. Well, you know, what's interesting, when I first got this picture, I said, the store looks great. The one thing that sticks out, unfortunately, are the utility lines. And that's why a lot of communities have gone to burying their utility lines on the ground, but.
First thing I noticed, Barry, was there were no pigeons on the wires, because you seen the pigeons here? There's 1,000 of them in a row every day on those. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I had.
Steve? Probably know the answer to this, but do you know of any other decisions or opinions that address the accessory provision?
I don't know of any other decisions. I simply know that we have a ton of these in the town. But, you know, in terms of 20-odd years that I've been coming here, I can't, do you recall any that have come before the board? I mean, there's been some newer ones, and the only one know there was a question on a Dunkin' Donuts going into a gas station up on the Avon line that came before the board several years ago. But that issue had to do, I believe, with the drive-through component of the Dunkin' Donuts.
That was strictly the drive-through.
Right. I don't recall, this aspect of I think it's on our, should be on the site plan.
No, it says loading unit, right here.
No, I'm talking about, so that's not on the front. That's one side, there's no, that's the back, that's the other side, where the umbrella one.
Yeah.
Right, so the deliveries are here? So the store here? I'm curious if, on a butter, any noise. What time are the deliveries now with the one in the other store, do you know? Yeah, and how many deliveries do they get a week?
Some of the main trucks deliver once a week, and then the gasoline twice a week, and then the daily deliveries of newspapers, milk, bread.
They don't deliver their own milk, Gorelick or somebody delivers that? They all would go to the same door, there'd be no front door deliveries? That's all I have, sure. Huh?
Town water, town sewer.
I know that. Where's the tanks gonna be on this? I mean, I see the pumps. Are these the tanks here?
To the left there, yeah. I think it shows better on this, on the, yeah.
Right here. So the deliveries of gas would have to be made when the store is closed?
No, when it's open.
So when, from the looks of this, the way it's set up, if the truck comes in, it's gonna block the pumps, is that, am I reading this wrong, or?
That's the,
This is where the storage is?
Yeah, the truck would come in.
He's gonna have enough room to make the swing here?
And one good thing to know about Cumberland Farms, their protocol for the layout, I mean, they've done these stores, thousands and thousands of stores, they have these protocol templates, these are all basically templates that fit on here, and this site is larger than normal. So with studies that they've done, they've mastered the site layout. And the Gulf gasoline, that's their drivers as well, so they know exactly how many feet they need to get by. You'll see the aisle widths there are larger than the town's requirements, what's the reason for it.
And this is,
Certainly didn't want any issues with traffic flow.
this is the way the landscaping would be, somewhat like this here, that's there
It's
now?
somewhat landscaped, like I said, the plans, this is,
I know this is just a
Yeah.
preliminary, yeah.
but, working with other, Cumberland Farms do something very similar.
And
we will have to obviously go to the planning board for site plan approval as well, but obviously we need to get the use permitted before we do that.
The green space is actually 47.5%, which is, more than typical.
where are the picnic tables gonna be here? Either my eyes are awful bad, or,
The color
Right in here?
they don't show as much on Sherm, but that's the area, on the right side of the store. It shows up a little better on the,
Oh, I
on the
see,
plan that
okay.
you have there.
I thought that was one of the Mai Tais, those little umbrellas on top.
We will not have Mai Tai.
So if you're planning on having, and I know what the stores are like, but they cook like steamed hot dogs, and they have sub sandwiches and stuff in it. So are you expecting people to come out and sit and eat? And I know you said it has Wi-Fi. Being as old as I am, Wi-Fi don't mean anything to me. But I know that when I go to some different fast food restaurants, I can see people sitting there. They'll be eating, they'll be playing with their computers, and they end up spending like half, 3/4, maybe an hour there. I don't know how many people you expect to seat, but are you gonna have restrooms in here for customers and stuff, or is it just gonna be for help, or?
With restrooms.
It's gonna be public restrooms?
Yeah, if you look at this plan, this A1 1.1, you can see that there's a men's room with the urinal and a toilet, and a women's room with 2 toilets. This would support, if this were a restaurant, this would support an occupancy of 120 people.
That's what,
This one.
oh, I've got it. I mean, these are just some of my silly questions. Well, I guess that's all I have right now.
What's the expected, the projected traffic count, cars coming in on a daily basis, you know?
We didn't. At this point, all we've looked at is how many cars would come and go in the peak hours.
Well, before you build a store, don't you usually do a study how many projected customers and your sales on a daily basis?
I'm gonna guess they're looking at the existing facility as what they expect, a modest increase over that at this facility, but we're not part of any, marketing assessments that they do. We will, as part of the traffic generation, look at how many cars are going to come and go. But it's more based off of industry standards for this type of use and similar facilities that we've done for Cumberland Farms. So, this site would draw between, about 95 to 115 cars into the site, whether you're looking at the morning or the afternoon peak hour, coming in and accessing, whether it be gas or the store.
How many was that, 100?
It's about 95, in the morning, it's about 95 cars that would come to the site. In the afternoon peak hour, it's about 115. A lot of it's driven by adjacent street traffic volume. That's why it's a little bit higher in the afternoon, even though you might think, coffee services and others are gonna drive it in the morning, but it's highly dependent on, activity around the site and adjacent street volume.
Now, is that an overhang over the, umbrella? Like a roof overhang or?
Over here?
Yeah, it doesn't cover the whole area, does it?
What are the proposed site hours?
I think the same as the existing store, Tracy, 5 AM to midnight, I believe.
7 days a week?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions? Or any comments? No? Well,
Let's go on the game.
huh?
Let's go on the game.
You aware of any GB zoned business that has put in gas stations, gasoline pumps? I think it looks like it was amended in 1991 when it was zoned out.
Well, I think the one down by Meads Meadow comes to mind. Many of these are replacing existing
Yeah.
stores.
Something that wouldn't be considered a pre-existing non-conforming.
Right. I mean, I think, the way we're looking at this is we have an existing store down the street. We think we've found a location that is a better location, and it allows us to provide, as I said at the beginning, better access and better movement into and out of the site, and a better, cleaner store, as Dan alluded to, that's part of the new prototype for Cumberland Farms store. I think, I think when you kind of step back from the forest, if you will, and say, is this something that the town would like to see at this location and its general business zone and on its commercial corridor? I watched the selectmen's meeting the other night with the master plan committee, and they're talking about economic development and growing a commercial industrial tax base, and I think this is consistent with Mr. Hussaini alluded to the objectives of the master plan committee, and I just think this is entirely consistent with that. I know that's not the question that you asked, but I think if we look at the bigger picture, I think it's you ask yourself the question: do you think this? Do you think the project looks good? Do you think the project will work at this location? And I think the answer to both of those questions is yes. And it's going to result in a site and a store at a less performing location closing and eliminating the issues that are associated with that location. Any of you who have tried to go in and out of that store, that's a tough movement. With Paul Street right there and the apartments out back and all of that. So I just think this, I don't like to use that expression too often, a win-win situation, but I think this is a win-win situation. I think it's a win for Cumberland Farms. I think it's a win for the town. I think it's a better spot, a better store. It's going to serve the community better than the existing store. And I think it, as I said, I think it fits within both the spirit and the letter of the bylaw.
Do you have any proposed buyers for the current store?
I don't think so at this point.
And appealing, I agree with you, but the problem too is that we're gonna end up still with a closed business use
Well,
down the road.
no,
So-
well, I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think a location on, notwithstanding the comments I just made as far as, the sort of the downside of that location relative to this location, I think nevertheless, it's a location on 138 that maybe for instance, a Daddy's Dairy says that's a better site for them than where they are, for instance, or, something along those lines. I mean, it's not a big store, that existing, is there any 24? Okay. And it's not a big lot. The parking, as you folks know, at that store is in front and on that right side. But, an ice cream shop, a small coffee shop, something like that certainly could use, print shop, some kind of retail business, any number of, I don't think there'll be an issue with selling it, because again, there are attributes. It's just that for us, this location is a better location, and it allows us to serve the public in a better way.
Well, Barry, one of the things I'm concerned about it, which Marguerite just brought up, it's gonna create one more dead zone because the store's closed. But on the other hand, it's taking two dead zones right now,
Mhm.
Bank of Boston and that, the bowling alley.
Mm.
So we're not gaining one dead zone, we're losing one dead zone. We're trading one dead for two dead.
You're losing two dead zones. You're
Right,
losing the
which is
two.
a plus.
Right, exactly.
Right.
You're losing the two vacancies that you have presently
Right.
on Washington Street, and I have no doubt that the existing store, there will be a reuse of that store, I would expect, in very fast order.
Well, it's to Cumberland's advantage to rent it as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
and keep it as nice as possible.
Absolutely.
One thing I don't wanna do is leave the door open, cause I'm sure Cumberland Farms, as big as they are, that one location means nothing to them once they open up a new store. I wanna make sure it doesn't become a blight.
What would be important for, I don't mean to,
So that
Tracy.
if it isn't rented, they have to keep it halfway decent, and if the building inspector goes by and it looks like a blight,
My client is the vice president of real estate development, so far be it from me to speak for her. However, I think I can reasonably suggest that she will say that it is in Cumberland Farms' best interest to sell that location as quickly as possible and not have a vacant store. It's in no one's interest to have that store
Which
be
is-
be vacant.
which is the goal of everybody else that lost a business on 138, and it has looked like a blight. Bank of Boston building looks like there's a
Mhm.
blight in town, honestly.
And this gentleman that purchased those two properties has been trying to market those two properties for I think, year and a half since he purchased them. You folks have all seen the sign that he's had up there, and there have been no takers, So now we finally do have somebody that's willing to come in here, put up a Class A building, with a Class A retail owner-operator. And I think it's, to everyone's advantage that be allowed to happen.
I just don't want the old building, if it isn't sold in a reasonable amount of time, that is just grown in with bushes growing in front of it, broken glass,
I can-
plywood up and everything else.
Still Cumberland, and
Right.
everyone knows that Cumberland Farms is in their best interest to have their reputation.
They don't want a non-performing asset just sitting there, they want to sell the real estate. They don't want I think everyone is rowing in the same direction as far as that's concerned.
So if Daddy's Dairy wants to sell gas and ice cream, can they do that under this accessory provision?
I don't think Daddy's Dairy would be looking to do that, but I guess that would be up to them.
So I'm just saying, do you think that this provision would allow it?
What are you saying, if they go into the old Cumberland Farm building?
No, if they just wanted to install gas pumps.
It's not allowed in town.
Not where they're at.
No, as an accessory use under this provision.
not where they're at, depending on where they are, but they can't do it where they're at now.
They'd have to come before you, and you folks would have to believe that it warranted granting the special permit.
But you're arguing that this would allow them to do that.
No, I'm arguing this allows us to do that.
Right.
I'm not speaking to, I mean, you can't look at things in a vacuum. You have to look at a site-specific, fact-specific application. And we have a track record that, including, can't get much better of a track record than an existing store right down the street. This is what Cumberland does. It does convenience stores with gasoline.
Outside of the other, obviously, the special permit
Right.
requirements you need to fulfill, but you're
Right.
saying that they could try to apply under this.
Yeah, I guess in the scheme of things, it's like the old saying when people say, "Can I be sued for something?" I always tell people, anyone can sue anyone for anything. Could they be successful? That's a different story, I don't think from a practical, right.
This is more of a swap.
I don't think from a.
I know
right,
what that means,
right.
I just don't wanna open something up.
Yeah.
that's-
And I think the case law, the other, is, in various opinions, one thing they have shown is, in the case of zoning, there really is no such thing as a precedent. You do not bind yourself when you approve an application at a particular location. You can't, as you can in court, use that for precedential value and say that, well, you did this here, you have to do it here. Every case stands on its own merits.
I was gonna remember you said that in another case, right?
Absolutely. And this is,
I'm writing it down.
and this is not that case. This is a different case at a different location.
I look at it as a swap.
Yeah,
Remember that, too.
well, it is. I mean, we acknowledge that, and that's why I said, we think it's I'm repeating myself now, but a better location, a better store. I mean, better is good, at least when I grew up.
Just noticing something else.
What's that?
You got a landing up there?
A landing?
Second floor.
Which,
A 3.2.
A 3.2? Christian, you see what he's talking about?
We have a second
Up in
floor on this?
The back, the rear elevation?
We have apartments up there now?
I don't think so.
The roof is cut away to locate some compressors for the refrigeration system in the store. And then it's disguised or buffered a little bit with like a railing type thing. but-
That area along the roof line, Christian?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
So
Tom.
that's everything that runs inside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
There's no
no
This is
second
not a
level.
mixed-use development, there's no residential use.
It's not downtown.
But it's funny, I had not even noticed that little detail there.
See, you're making me look at things.
If you look at the store, there's a whole lot of refrigeration in the
Mm.
store with coolers and freezers and
Right.
stuff. And all of that equipment
Well,
needs.
I know they have a lot of
compressors.
refrigeration in the stores. They probably need a good electrician.
Yeah.
And everyone?
There's nobody in the audience. Oh, you have to identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Anthony Chandler, I live at 20 Britton Ave. I bought up this section here. And I'm just wondering, are they gonna put a fence along here? Or are they gonna leave that open so people can cut through? Which I hope not.
Isn't there an existing chain link fence out there?
No,
No?
one running this way.
Okay. I don't think that would be an issue. There is some wetlands out there that we have to be mindful of.
Yep.
But I don't think that would be an issue to provide a fence there to prevent trespassing, if that's what your concern is.
That's my main concern, yeah. That-
Chairman, that's something we can certainly be glad to work with you come time to, we have to apply to the planning board.
What
well
I'd-
as conservation.
What I'd really like to see would be a chain link fence and
A
some
chain link fence.
arborvitae's in front of that would be,
Absolutely.
would
Something
be,
we
you
can
know, that,
certainly work with, and if the zoning board wants to make that a condition.
Which house are you, Mr. Chandler?
20 Britton Ave,
So when you take the left on Britain, are you the first
first
house
one
on
on
the
the
left?
left, yep.
Okay, yeah.
Been there forever.
Yeah.
So where do you want the fence? I missed where you pointed. Okay.
You know,
That's the only question I have.
we can do that.
That zoning map?
Hmm?
Is that zoning map? What's the abutting property?
Oh,
20 Britain Ave?
sure, 'cause I put it away.
Right.
The budding property, which side?
Yeah, do you have it up there?
Yeah.
Map 51, map 55, lot 141.
Thank you. Yeah, that one, lot 141.
He's the first house on the left.
That's his lot.
Yeah, right here.
Right there, that's
Yeah,
his lot.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what's the wish of the board?
Do we want more traffic information? Or it sounded like we wanted them to
Right.
take a look at that intersection.
Yeah, I mean, I make just a comment in terms of the project overall. I think it's a big enhancement to the area, and the services are great. It's going to advance the area and the cause of improving the whole downtown area as well. The issue of traffic definitely is going to be has to be of concern, especially for that intersection of Lincoln Street and Washington, and then looking on Washington itself for access to the site as well. And we kind of have to start someplace to start this process of improvements. If you're going to come back and say, okay, I'm adding 2 vehicles or deducting 2 vehicles, it's not going to work. We're not looking at really the numbers, looking at some sort of commitment for improvements. And I think traffic is one of the major concerns that we have.
And generally with these projects, and we're doing another one in Brockton, it's usually when we get in front of planning board that we get, just like the site plans,
Sure.
we get into a lot more detail. Same thing with traffic, that we'll get into more of a detailed traffic study. Once they've gotten past the site, the use is acceptable. Now let's start looking at the specifics and what needs to be done to make it work, both on-site and off. That's what we were expecting with this project, that as we get into planning, we do have a much more detailed study done.
Thank you.
In order to, move the project forward, what we would basically be asked is if the board approves the use, make that a condition that the planning board have the traffic engineer provide that specific traffic report.
Sure.
Thank you.
I think we have the right to do something around traffic, because I think it involves one of the findings we'd have to make to issue a special permit.
And I think, and Faisal, correct me if I'm wrong, but mostly the traffic, I mean, a lot of that is just existing conditions that we'd be trying to identify. And I think if there's a condition that, in part of planning board, we do that detailed study, I think that would make sense.
Are you talking about trying to identify improvements on the roadway that we may potentially have to do? For instance, such as, at Shaw's, they have the arrows for the turning lanes, so that you get into the turning lane if you're taking the
Right.
left and the Shaw. Is that along the
Yeah,
line?
I mean, I can give you an idea looking at that intersection, again, it's the condition is bad now.
Right.
So that may require maybe the installation of a traffic light. And providing some lane channelization, as you said, to do a little widening on Washington Street to provide, I don't think you'll need a turning lane,
Right.
but you probably need to widen to allow for a vehicle to enter without impeding on the through movements behind it.
And the reason I ask is, obviously, anything that we might propose, DOT is going to have to
Absolutely.
approve.
Yep.
So I guess it's almost like what we did up in North Stoughton when we agreed to, for the Dunkin' Donuts and South Shore Savings Bank up there, when that project was going on, where we provided a left turn lane into the site, but once again, it had to be, well, in that particular, that was local, because they don't start till after Page Street, but that's why I think the suggestion has some merit that if we wanted to craft a decision that had a requirement that we would do whatever improvements DOT required us to do out there, because whatever they say we're gonna have to do.
Certainly, and even working with.
If it's a state highway layout, definitely will be subject to MassDOT
Yeah,
approval,
yeah.
and we will have input into that.
Right, okay,
Yep.
okay.
The only other thing I'd like to see there, Barry, is you're talking about the intersection. You know as well as I do, people are gonna use this as a cut-through. They're gonna say, I'm not going to Cumberland right now. They're gonna cut through, because if you're coming down Lincoln Street towards 138, right? And there's a car that wants to take a left.
Yeah.
He's gotta wait for both ways of traffic on 138 to have an opening to get out. So there's a,
If he's gonna take a left, you mean?
If he's gonna
Coming out
take
of
a-
Lincoln and
if you're
gonna take
taking
a left?
Right, right.
Okay.
I was on that street today, and I was probably queued up as the 8th car in
Yeah.
line. It was a pain in the neck. This lady just did not move.
Then they would most likely do what I do.
Okay.
I go down Grove Street, I take a right on Monk Street,
Street
and then
come
I
back
come
ahead.
around that way, because I hate trying to take a left turn in this town, because you're right, you can't
What I'd like to see
take
on-
left turns in
what
this
I'd
town.
like to see
So-
on this here is some speed bump or two.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
They're gonna cut through it. I know I will.
Weren't there speed bumps when they?
They're not gonna,
I
Dan,
Remember,
Dan, they're not gonna cut through there if when they come to Washington, they're gonna be taking a left.
No, if they're taking a right.
I mean,
Taking a right.
But if they're gonna take a right on
Have to
Lincoln
wait for
Street,
the
they
left
can't
hand.
queue up to 138.
You
for
can do
the
that.
car in
I
front.
think-
yeah, no,
I think Mr. Chandler might suggest that what they're probably gonna do is cut down Britton Ave down in front of his house, more likely, and then go down Warren Avenue.
Then the Britain
But,
Ave.
no, and I,
right. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think, I mean, I wanna tie it back that, for instance, you mentioned a light there. It is not foolhardy, but it's almost moot for us to propose a light, because whatever improvements are gonna be based on what DOT tells us we have to do out there.
And I
And
understand
that's why I
that,
said,
yeah.
we certainly would, we could agree to a condition that says, whatever traffic improvements DOT says are necessary, we agree to provide.
Right.
So that's fine.
I mean, if you come to me and say, okay, I'm gonna propose traffic light there, I'll help you get the
Yeah.
approval from
We could
DOT.
say
How
a
about
light,
that?
and then DOT said, we don't want a light there, we want the traffic moving along Washington Street, you know?
But I can tell you probably.
Yeah,
they'll
maybe,
accept it,
you
right?
know,
I'm sure you're gonna reconstruct that anyway.
yeah, that driveway, and,
If there's speed bumps there now.
no, I was gonna say, I think they were, and it really never became a cut-through. I did used to use that. I used to use that one on occasion, so, but certainly the speed humps would make sense.
Hmm.
Yep.
So were you looking then beyond, and that's, I'm trying to clarify in my own mind, without, if we go to DOT, see what they say, are you looking for a traffic analysis in terms of volume to be generated, or just to say, go to DOT, see what they say they want, and then, basically.
Going before the DOT, you do have to prepare some sort of report.
Right.
You have to do some analysis, you have to do some justification
Right,
for it.
right.
If the numbers don't justify the installation of traffic control, like any traffic signal,
Okay.
you'll indicate that.
Yeah, okay, because I think what we're looking to hopefully be able to do is to do that, as Christian alluded to, as a condition of approval.
Sure.
And then, come back with whatever improvements DOT says are warranted, based on the improvements to the site.
Well, back, what's the wish of the board?
I mean, we don't have a traffic report, we have a traffic engineer who's provided some testimony, but I do think it's useful. We have to make a finding that the requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. At the very least, I think that's a piece of information we should have for this site. But that would be my thought.
We have sort of an executive summary that we did prepare, that I didn't necessarily want to get bogged down with a lot of numbers, but we can submit to the board a summary that Gary's office did prepare, because obviously we have the existing site. On the second page, I think that there's a table that shows a comparison between the existing site and the difference in trips. And maybe, before I misstate anything, Gary, if you maybe want to give a quick overview about what we have here?
And I had been speaking about that in terms of the traffic generation numbers that I had talked about. We're really referencing the information that's in that report, which is why we were just trying to explain it rather than submit a written document to bog down the process. But what we're really saying is that it is a replacement of an existing site. You're talking about, a limited number of additional trips or vehicles that would come to the site, and that's purely based on the theory that the site's a little bit bigger. It's going to be newer. There'll be a few more people that will go to the site. But again, these sorts of uses are primarily driven by the amount of traffic that's going by them. So it's not, there's not very many people that get out of their, leave their house, leave their work just to go get gas. So it's not something that's really expected to draw lots of new cars to the area and have any real appreciable effect on operations. Having the access out onto Lincoln Street certainly helps alleviate some of the impacts onto Washington Street so that you're not drawing additional movements out there. From a pedestrian standpoint, you have a site, and you can see it in the photos there, where there's really nothing for pedestrians going by the site today. It's just wide open. We're putting in defined curb cuts and sidewalk along the site frontage to at least give pedestrians in that area some accommodations. And certainly improvements, as I talked about earlier, to the site access over what's out there today. Those new sidewalks that, and certainly as you're coming in southbound into the existing site and you try to take that first right, there's a catch basin that was put in there and a fairly short section of curb that I know has been a recurring problem for drivers, just clipping the corner of that curb and incurring tire damage and the like at that existing site. So we're certainly trying to make the access and the circulation through this site more efficient and safer than what you see out there today.
I can add to that. I mean, you are trying to do a good job on the site, which is, we understand that and see it. Under current condition, we do have one driveway that adjacent to the bad intersection, I call it. Now we're going to have 3 driveways adjacent to that bad intersection. And the other thing, they have not addressed that the Lincoln Street, Washington. This memo would basically speak about the site and how much we generate and how much the impacts are from a qualitative point of view, right? And I think you did some analysis, you're saying.
We had done, we weren't doing a full detailed study at this stage, because again, the normal process is we get into zoning, the use gets approved, and then we start looking at the specifics and the details, and that's when we do the more detailed study. So just to try to provide a little bit more information, we did run some analysis of the site drive, and as it goes forward, would certainly look at the Lincoln Street intersection and look at accident history and take more of a comprehensive look at the area and see what can be done out there. But again, it's primarily addressing existing deficiencies. If this project doesn't go forward, something else someday comes on this site and it's the same sort of situation that we're looking at. The nice thing about this site is it's not drawing lots of people out of their homes to come here. It's people that are driving by, that are already on the road, that are turning in and turning out, so that you're not, it's not something that's drawing lots of new traffic here. So we feel as though it fits within the context. It isn't going to have a significant effect on the roadway, and we can look through it and spend a little more time studying it as we lay out the details of the site with the planning board.
And I think we are on the same page. What I'm saying is, as you move forward with the planning board, and just don't ignore Lincoln Street and Washington Street
Right.
intersection.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's right there, so
Right.
it's.
I'm all set.
Is this actually the site there? Is this a site there? No? Is Rockland Trust that wide open?
Yeah.
I don't recall that being that wide open.
Yeah, because you have you have a drive-through and a drive exit for people that were just parking there and go into the bank, for them to exit out to Washington Street
Yeah, no,
without getting into the
Looks awful
drive-up
wide to
queue.
me.
But yeah, those are the actual conditions as far as the two abutters. But that's why I think what we're suggesting is on the question of traffic, I don't think it's so much a question of volume. We recognize that these types of businesses are drawing largely from existing traffic. I think the question would be back to, based on what we're proposing at this location, what would DOT be looking to have us do? And that's why I think that can be addressed through a condition in the decision, that it be subject to DOT approval and the installation of any improvements that they require.
Okay. What do we want to do? We gotta do something.
I don't, I'm not prepared to vote tonight unless you want
Oh,
me to vote.
no, I didn't mean vote.
If that's what you're looking for. I think we still have some information that we just were handed tonight that we need to digest.
Yep.
I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I think this is something we have the authority to do. The idea of the swap was
that's my
not part of the
question.
original
Right.
permission, our
I
original
don't
stuff
have the
that we
two
saw, so.
letters that was sent out. I want to go back and read
Yeah.
those
Okay.
I mean, I
emails on there.
feel like we've got a lot that was
Question.
presented, yes, tonight, to look at.
If we were to continue the public hearing, what would we be looking at? Is December 12th here?
September 14th.
I think we're,
Oh, December 12th
I think
is out.
we're
December
taking
12th is
applications for
strictly
January meetings now.
Right, but aren't you meeting on
It's
December
for,
12th?
yeah, but it's for renewals.
Yeah, just for renewals of special permits.
I think you have too many special permit renewals. Because you guys stopped putting in expiration dates on your special permits.
Still have
Have them.
Right. I think anything that's come up in the last 2-year cycle, you remove, at least my experience has been, you've removed the expiration date. What I'm just trying to get at is what I'd like, maybe I should ask, if we need to go to DOT, how long might that process?
DOT at this point, all we can get is an initial opinion. They will not issue any formal findings.
Right, okay.
Until the local process is done.
Right, right.
They do that so they're not caught in the middle.
Right, so that's why I said somewhat of a catch-22. That's why I think from our standpoint, if we did it as a conditional approval. But, so what, your next, November 14th is probably too soon. You're not meeting on November 28th, that's Thanksgiving.
Not meeting. No, we're not meeting on
You're meeting
the
at your house,
14th,
right?
yeah. Yeah, 14th's full.
Could we put this on for December 12th?
It's not open for that.
It could be. You
No, it
control-
can't be.
You control the calendar, Mr. Chairman.
That's why I'm looking at January 9th.
January 9th, wow. Then 3 months. A continuance of 3 months? I think
That's all.
I think that's unreasonable.
We're not having a special meeting,
Asking for a special meeting.
and we're only meeting once in December, and we
that's,
have renewals for that day. And that's what we always put aside for December meeting, is renewals.
Hmm.
So, the earliest we can do it is January 9th.
I think that's, a 3-month continuance is a lot. But if you're telling me that's the earliest it can be done,
That's the earliest.
Excuse me, may I speak? I'm Robert Scavo, I'm the property owner, and unfortunately, what I feel is happening is you guys are punishing Cumberland Farms because they're a big company. You guys don't realize you're affecting my pocket directly. I bought that property a year and a half ago, and it's been a dump for the last 7 years. And I'm just trying to improve the property in this town, and all I feel is, because you have a big company, I understand the lights and I understand McDonald's came in, other banks came in, none of these questions ever came up about traffic lights. All of a sudden, big company comes in. The problem you don't realize, we own the land and I'm carrying the taxes on a vacant property that I cannot rent. December, you guys send me a tax bill, maybe I just won't pay it, I'm letting it go vacant. Because I think it's very unfair how you're treating me as a small mom and pop owner, based on Cumberland Farms as a name. I think it's really ridiculous what these guys are asking. You can make conditions and subject to traffic study, but I don't think you should delay it 3 months, and have them carry a property that's been a year and a half vacant, and I can't put one tenant in there. And the only tenant that's willing to spend millions of dollars in this town and improve the tax in this town, you guys are willing to shun it away. And I don't think you have a justifiable reason. And I just want.
We're not trying to shut it away.
Well,
We did the same thing, and you can ask Mr. Crimmins, because he was involved with that, with Target. We did the same thing with IKEA. We're not trying to push anybody out of business.
but you
But it's
realize that site is owned by me, not Cumberland Farms. I'm not a
It-
Target, I'm not an IKEA. All I'm asking is due diligence and a fair treatment.
This is as fair as we can be. We're booked solid for November 14th, and Mr. Crimmins can attest to that. December is strictly for renewal permits. We only have one meeting that month. January 9th is the first time we have an opening. I mean, I can go to the 23rd, I can go to February, whatever you want to do, but the earliest I can go is January 9th. I'm not trying to put you out of business, I'm not trying to make you go bankrupt, but that's the way our calendar works.
I understand, but you couldn't make it with a condition to traffic approvals or
No.
some sort of a condition?
They just gave, they just gave us all kinds of information to read. And in our bylaws for the zoning board, we're supposed to have it 2 weeks before the meeting so we can read it, so we can understand what we're coming here for. And that's just the way it's gonna have to be.
Fair enough.
recognizing that you're only scheduled to meet once in December, and you're saying that's for special permit renewals only on December 12th, is it possible to schedule a meeting on December 5th?
Election day? Oh, that's November.
Election.
Well, that's up to the board.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It works right now, I don't have a conflict at the moment. said it works,
Oh,
I don't have a
okay.
conflict.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, how about December 5th?
Is our secretary available on December 5th?
The first Thursday of the month. No.
I can provide, if necessary, if the board needs a written record, I can provide a stenographer for the meeting if need be.
That's right, too. You can't make the 5th or the 19th. Okay.
If
Uh,
there isn't somebody to take the secretary's place that night.
Guess that'll have to be.
Could I just ask for clarification in terms of the, the issue of traffic that has been mentioned? Maybe, Marguerite, I should direct this to you. Looking for a fuller report than what we provided? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we can get that, and we'll, with the December 5th meeting, I'm sure we can get that to the board ahead of time, so you have a chance to review it ahead of time.
7:30?
Do I have to make a motion?
I'll ask.
Somebody does.
7:30 good, or?
Yeah, 7:30 is good for me.
Fine.
Earlier is better, but 7:30 is good.
We can do early if you want to do early.
No, Marguerite can't get
Oh,
here.
okay.
Well,
His children.
kids
No, I
and anytime I
understand.
get to see them, so I'd prefer to come at 7:30 when they're about to go to bed.
Marguerite, it's on TV, they can watch it.
Oh, yeah. Then that might put 'em to sleep.
That's right. I'll give them nightmares, one or the other.
Yeah.
December 5th at 7:30?
That's okay. Yes,
Is there a motion?
I moved that we continue case number 4105, is that what it is? To
Yep.
December 5th, 2030, 2013 at 7:30 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, folks, thank you for your time. Your patience.
Oh, patience, patience.
You're the only one on the agenda. Does that mean you have
Barry, there's a new book out, Barry.
There's a new book?
Yeah.
I don't think it's changed, though.
Yeah, there's a couple of chapters.
Hey, thank you. You want, ask them to give me cards so you could get their names spelt right and all that good stuff? Okay, you're welcome. I'm sorry, is it Doreen?
It's Doreen.
Doreen. Okay, get out of your way here.
Okay.
Okay, good night, folks, thank you.
But if we don't see you, have a nice Thanksgiving.
You'll see me on the 14th.
Oh.
Good Lord willing.
I was trying.
Yeah. You know something that I don't know? Whoops. All right, good night.
Zoning Board of Appeal, Town of Stoughton, notice public hearing. Public hearing will be held in the Town Hall, Conference Room B, Room 301, third floor, 10 Pearl Street, on October 24th, 2013, at 7:34 PM, on a petition of John Hahn, case number 4106, for a variance under the Town of Stoughton zoning bylaw of 1970, as amended. Section 6B, Table of Dimensional and Density Regulations relative to lot area, lot frontage, and lot width in order to construct a single-family dwelling located at 183 Everett Circle, further identified in Assessors Plan 27, Lot 11, an RB zone in said Stoughton. Any person desiring to receive further notice concerning this petition as provided by the general rules of the Zoning Board of Appeal should file a written request containing his or her name and address with the board. Petitioner is representative or any other persons desiring to be heard in this matter should appear at time and place designated. Chairman Upro Chairman was in the Stoughton Journal October 4th and October 11th. And there's a picture of it. Mr. Hahn Hahn?
Yeah.
Oh, please. Let's see. I have no correspondence. at all. So, Mr. Hahn, would you like to explain to us what you'd like to do?
Yes, I purchased this lot about a year ago, and it cleared all scrutiny. And it's the same size as, I think it's about probably 35 houses in Everett Circle. Most of them are 100 wide and 200 feet deep, and this lot is the same. It was owned by the people next door. It was owned by the family of the people next door, but the owner currently resides in New Jersey, and he finally decided to sell it. As far as I know, it's always been taxed as a separate lot, and I bought it. It cleared the scrutiny of the bank's attorneys, and then it was challenged. I got the various plans done on it, and you know, survey, house plans, foundation plans, and it seemed to clear everything, but then it was challenged. There was an attorney hired, I guess, who wrote a book. His name was Bobrowski. He wrote a book on this stuff, and I guess there was an email sent to him on April 5th of 2013 asking him if he could find anything, any little detail to pick at that would delay the process.
If I could shed some light on just exactly what happened here, and I have a little, I may not have enough copies here, but I have a little sort of timeline of just the building department's availability. The lot, as Mr. Hahn says, is on Everett Circle, which is a neighborhood of most of the lots are 20,000 square feet. A few of them are a few hundred feet bigger than that. They're fairly uniform, 100 feet wide, 100 feet of frontage, 200 feet deep. It was part of a subdivision that was created in 1958. In the fall of 2011, the former owners of the property, Joseph Palilio, from living in New Jersey, called to ask me whether this was a buildable lot. And I said it might be a buildable lot, and I explained to him the protocol that we have at the building department to prove that it's a grandfathered buildable lot. And essentially it's a title search, and most cases attorneys put together a package of material. Mr. Palilio, I think probably by that time, was talking to John Hahn, who was interested in buying the property, not to own the property, but to build a house on it. Mr. Palilio's attorney, a guy named Stephen Needle, put together a package in a title search, and basically, you know, and wrote an opinion to me that this met the standard of the Mass General Laws 40A for a grandfathered buildable lot. That was that was his letter to me, was received September 19th. On November 20th, I issued a foundation permit. Essentially, I issued the building permit. The way the building department works is we issue a foundation permit first, and then after an as-built survey of the foundation is done, then we issue the balance of the permit. But I issued the foundation permit on September 19th of 2013. September 19th, I got Attorney Needle's letter. November 20th, I issued the permit. Fortunately or unfortunately, Mr. Hahn has not yet built on this property. The permit has a life of 6 months. Shortly before that permit was about to expire, Mr. Hahn alerted me that, you know, he hadn't been able to start yet, and could he extend the permit? And I did. I extended it for 6 months. In June, on June 7th, I received a letter from an attorney informing me that I was in error, that I had issued this building permit in error. He included a memo from this Mark Bobrowski, who's a well-known zoning attorney, and basically pointing out to me that because this lot was in common ownership between 1973 and 1986, and because in 1970 the town meeting changed the required lot width from 100 feet to 125 feet, that I issued this permit in error. And I spent some time looking at records and corresponding with town council. And it was her advice that despite the fact that this permit, my issuing the permit, wasn't challenged within the 30 days, within 30 days of my issuing it, what she referred to as the Gallivan case, she suggested to me that this would probably be cleaner for all involved if I rescinded the building permit, which I did in July 23rd, and suggested to Mr. Hahn that he come back to this board to get relief to build the house that he wants to. I think this, that I would hope that the board would find it reasonable to do so. It seems to be some kind of, just sort of my own feeling is that there seems to be some petty feud going on here where Mr. Hahn is being punished and we're being brought into it.
Your feeling is correct. Can I mention one more thing? When that lot was for sale, there was a sign in front of that. Between the time we were going back and forth on the price because it was kind of high and they did bring it down, and there was a sign out in front of there that said lot on top of it. And between the time we were the price and then it's next to the Muddy Pond Aquifer, so there's restrictions on that. Between the time all those rules and details had to be ironed out, the sign was up there for about a year, and during that whole time there was no challenge or question issued by anyone. It was just after I bought it, and it was even 3 months after I bought it that it was sold that even occurred.
Mr. Carr, questions?
No question.
Guess it's you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the building inspector, who was Attorney Dunn indicating he was representing? I'm a little confused about that.
I have that letter here, I believe, and I'm not sure that he mentions who he is. I can read you it's a one-paragraph letter. By way of this letter, we would like to inform you of an issue concerning the above referenced properties. On or about November 20th, 2012, your office issued a permit for a building permit for a foundation only on lot 29. Please be informed that he is representing a client, William Hahn, who's the owner of 34-36 Hahn Road, and wishes you to be aware that lot 29 is not a buildable lot due to common ownership between 1973 and 86. And he goes on further to that and points out that there's a building that exists on lot 30, which he believes was also violative of the zoning ordinance, but the permit was issued and it's been there for more than 10 years, so I guess it's not really an issue. So to answer your question, Attorney Dunn is representing William Hahn of Hahn Road.
And even if we were to grant a variance in this case, there's still subject to an abutter appeal. Correct?
I don't believe the Mr. Hahn of 34-36 Hahn Road is in the butter.
That's correct. That's correct.
And I haven't heard from anybody else regarding this case.
Isn't it like 300 feet? Oh, yeah, no, that's like the fourth lot down, right?
Exactly, yep, exactly.
I have the plot plan here.
It's right
Whether
there.
it shows Han Road or not.
What are you talking about?
No, I know.
He's
I
correct,
know
he's
the house.
correct, okay.
Yeah,
He's correct, exactly.
yes, I know William Hahn.
Okay.
Yeah, he's over here.
Yes.
Where is the Mr. Hall also located here with respect to this property?
The property that he's trying to buy, or that he bought?
Wrote about.
Oh, that's actually down over here. This is,
That's right here.
this is, becomes Han Way here, and he's right there.
Exactly.
This is what,
That would be the lot.
this is Everett Circle.
Yeah, that yellow one is this?
Yes.
Out there today, it looks like.
It does, it gives you that effect, but if you walk up it and look down, then it looks big.
What are you
It's-
doing with the backhoe in
That's my friend, that's Ray Pololios. He lives across the street, I let him park it there.
there? What's the square footage on this one? There's no.
It's, I got it here somewhere.
You have to have-
It's about 27, it's like 27 and a half by 29.
And most of the houses here are raised ranches or split.
Yes, and the one next to it, I don't know what you call Tony, Mr. Pololios' old house, the brick house. I guess it's more like a villa, I don't really know what you call it. That's the one next to it.
Looks awful close to the,
It does.
property line looks awful close to the house on the right of the. Awful close.
It does, but it's not. Yeah, it's funny. But I,
Okay, and my other concern is this house does not have anything like this, a house on the street.
it's a small cape.
It's a very small,
It is.
in order to meet, in order to get the, to meet the dimensional requirements.
Can you explain
This-
that to me, Tom? Because if his lot is the same dimensions as everyone else's, and he's asking for a variance, which, by the way,
Well, when
I
I,
may be mistaken, but on your request here, number 7, it says, sections of bylaw which variance is requested, and then specify the numbers of relief. And you just listed what the present bylaws are, not the relief. Am I correct, or did I read this wrong? Look at number 7.
the question, I issued a foundation permit based on a building application for a 29 by 27 and a half foot square cape, which is about as small a house as I can imagine that anyone, excuse me, that anyone would build. But however, the issue here is not that really the appeal that's being made about my decision is not specific to this application, but that this is a buildable lot at all. And I think that the relief that he's asking for is that this is, you know, is a buildable lot.
Where is
And
the request for the amount that you need? It's not on your application.
well, because the application that Mr. Hahn submitted, except for lot width, lot frontage, and lot area, meets the requirements of the zoning code. So he's asking for relief for lot area, lot frontage, and lot width.
How come houses that are longer than this?
Pre-
Whole neighborhoods, and.
Yeah, they were built in
I
65.
know, but the lot, their side, width, right? Looks a heck of a lot.
It looks different because
Your neighbor next door's got a chain link fence up, it's easy to tell what the property line is. It's a chain link fence.
yeah, I had it all surveyed and
So-
planned
so-
by,
So your application is looking for dimensional, dimensional request, but it doesn't tell us where it is.
Well,
me see if I can find that.
if I can repeat myself, the relief needed is for lot area, lot width, and lot frontage. The design that he submitted meets all the other requirements of zoning. It meets front yard, side yard, and rear yard setbacks. And I'm not sure what you're basing your idea that this somehow is, you know, this building is 29 feet wide on a 100-foot wide lot. So there's a lot more room.
Yeah, but shouldn't we have, before we vote, on paper, that plan, to see where the foundation's going in
That's-
the lot?
I should have that.
I have that plan here, but I don't see how that it's really germane.
He's looking from 100 feet to 125 feet is the requirement.
Yeah.
It's 100 feet. That's why it's 25 feet less.
I think we have a right to.
It's not
I've
written
got
down.
that.
But I think we have a right to know what
Yes,
the frontage is gonna be
Yes.
once the
Yeah.
foundation's poured.
Well, the frontage is the frontage of the lot is 100 feet, and the requirement is 125 feet.
And the,
So I need a 25-foot.
25-foot lot frontage from the foundation to the front.
You're talking the front yard setback.
That's front yard
Setback,
setback.
That's the right one, excuse me.
We need a plot plan. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got
It's here.
this, which
Right here.
is not very, I mean, this shows a
Not a plot plan.
future barn and a deck that I can see on the house plan.
Well,
And so
If
I don't think, I think that I'm hearing, and I think the application shows us that we're not looking at setback variances that are needed, but
So if you'll let me, this plan is reduced from a much larger plan that has a lot of detail on it here. So this black square that I've darkened in on the lot is the proposed footprint of the house.
This is the original size before it was shrunk down.
Yeah.
If you want
And that may not be a hell of a lot more readable either, but.
No, it's larger anyway. This is what you're looking at on that little paper. This is actually it, if you want to see it in larger.
The side yard setbacks are 20 foot, or,
Should be 125 feet and it's 100 feet.
yeah, it's,
This way it should be 225 and it's 200 feet, right? That's
Yep.
what-
I'm not sure about the depth.
Yeah.
I know the
Well,
width.
that's what you are writing here, frontage, width 25 feet. Frontage 25 feet, and width 25. That is the frontage.
Yep, that's Everett Circle, and that's 100.
and it's
And-
54.7 feet to the steps, is that what I'm reading? I mean, there's a,
I
yep,
think that's correct.
that's correct.
saw this too, and
That's correct.
there's a deck on this, is there a deck, but I didn't see a deck on the site plan.
There's a deck on the site
I
plan.
just wasn't sure that this was the actual plan.
Yeah.
They said it had to be shrunk, I think, to like 11 by 17, and it couldn't be bigger than that. So it's kind of, with all the details, kind of hard to read it when it's on 11 by 17, but that's the original plan there, if you want to look, anybody wants to look at that.
And the lot 29 is 20 square feet, requirement is 35,000 square.
It's 50, the zoning got changed in 1980, 1996, the area was changed to 55,000 square feet
Oh, yeah.
from 20,000 square feet.
Mr. Gito.
That's the rural RB areas.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
This is where it is.
Yeah.
So that's,
But did, any of the setbacks change? What were these other homes, are the other homes on the street put in with the same setback requirements?
As far as I know, yes. I think it's a minimum 40 feet, isn't it?
In the, yeah, in the,
And this one's 50-some, I think
Yeah.
mine is 52 or 54.
this will be the smallest house on the street.
but this lot is only 20,000 square feet.
That's correct.
Yes, but all the others are too, with a couple, just a couple of exceptions. And there was one further down Everett Circle that they did this for several years ago. It's down, more down toward West Street. And it also, it got that same, I believe it's only 100 by 200, as part of Mr. Widmore's
I think it
property.
should have been written lot area
Yeah, I might have wrote that- I might have wrote that wrong.
55,000 square feet is presently 20,000 square feet. That's what you were trying to say here.
I think you're right.
Yes.
25,000 square feet is less.
Yeah.
I think you're correct.
That's what.
Yeah.
And then your lot frontage 25, which is 100 feet. 100 feet, you need 125.
Correct. I never wrote one of these before.
Yeah.
If I
know.
screwed it up, I
Lot
apologize.
width, what is lot width?
Lot width is also 125 feet.
And I've only got 100.
And you have 100.
Only have 100.
So that, I guess that's what I
So
got,
that means
I'm
the
looking for
frontage
the
it could have
relief.
increased in the other back way here, it could have increased to 125.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
You,
So you are,
In 1970, the town meeting changed the RB zone, changed the required width from 100 feet to 125 feet. In 1988, they changed the frontage, the lot frontage to 100, from 100 feet to 125 feet. And in 1996, they changed the required lot area from 20,000 square feet to 55,000 square feet.
the chart.
when was this subdivision approved?
1958.
And what was the common ownership between 1973 and 86?
This has been in the Palilio family, and I'm not I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I have the information
I do
here.
too.
I'm just.
It was, if it had been split off a couple of years earlier, it would have been okay before a certain point, but it wasn't. It was still, that lot was still owned by the people next door.
Yeah.
So it wasn't split. I guess when it was deeded over to Julia and Joe Palilio, it wasn't done in time. Well, they didn't know it at the time, but it was done a couple of years after, when it would have been okay.
Yeah.
And when did you said the zoning change came in 1970?
No,
From the 125 to 100?
1988.
No, the width change was 1970, the frontage change was 1988.
Yes.
So it became non-conforming in 1970? But it was an existing approved subdivision?
That's correct.
The common ownership was by the entity that owned the subdivision,
Which was the Polios.
right?
Yes, I think that's true.
I
'cause
think
did
that
this- did that
somebody
some-
in some Palilio family member created
Tony.
the subdivision, whether or not they were ever the same Palilios who owned this, I'm not sure.
So at no time, did they ever, like, for instance, sell two of these lots next to each other out of the subdivision owners, another entity, and then from there? Or are we just talking that they didn't sell off one of the two abutting lots in time?
Well, the Polios live in a lot of the
question.
houses there.
Yes. I think it's just that lot he was keeping for one of his kids. He just held that extra lot. I don't know that he knew those rules. He's gone. He died recently. He was in his 90s, but he's not around.
Has anyone contacted Attorney Needle about this?
I did.
I mean, he issued a zoning opinion.
Yeah,
He
I
said
did.
it was buildable.
Yes, that's
And
correct. That's
he obviously would have had
correct.
to do a title search on all of
Yeah,
this.
all that stuff. He did it. He was not my lawyer.
Right.
But I have met him. I've talked to him. He seems a good guy. And I asked him if there was any need for him to be here tonight. He didn't think there was. But I think maybe it would have been a good thing, but I
Well,
can't
just-
tell him.
I think it might be useful for you to have an opinion that addresses whatever was raised. I don't have the title information in front of me. I have some knowledge of why, and I mean, my questions had to do with, were things held in common ownership before, because I know that there's some provisions that allow for certain size lots to be considered buildable lots on their own if they weren't held in common ownership. Especially now that this is part of the subdivision, there's other rules in the zoning laws that create exemptions for subdivision. So I don't know because I haven't seen the zoning opinions, but it would seem to me
Well,
that there
in my conversations and emails back and forth with Alana Quirk, the technicality here is because there was common ownership between the periods of 1973 and 1986, this did not qualify for the grandfathered lot exemption. I didn't go into exactly how that happened. I thought that we could straighten out, you know, the issue by this board granting relief. You know, I just think that, you know, given the fact that the entire neighborhood are larger houses on the same size lot, I didn't think it would be a big stretch for the board to
Chairman, may I be recognized?
I was gonna ask you if you're Attorney Needle. You're not? I see you smiling.
I'm Attorney Daniel Siegenberg of 155 South Street in Rentham. I represent William Hahn, so perhaps I can provide some information. I assume you're the building inspector in the town, sir?
Yes, I am.
As the building inspector has indicated, the difficulty is that these two lots, lots 29 and lot 30, were in common ownership. As I understand it, the situation is a little bit different. This was an older subdivision, which was effectively built out prior to the applicable zoning laws here being in effect. Lots 29 and 30 were owned by the Palilio family. And my understanding is there was a house constructed on a lot. I believe he's looking for relief on lot 29, correct?
That's correct.
So it'd be, on lot 30, there was a house, and the house has been there for decades. They use lot 29 as essentially part of their yard. It's a classic case of common ownership. Case law is quite clear that the lots do not have any grandfather protection based on this common ownership. That's why I'm sure the building inspector, once he had that information, recognized through Alana Quirk as well, town council, that these are not buildable lots. The applicant is now here for a variance. And as we all know, what we may think is reasonable or what we might want to do as fair-minded people to try to help someone out, the ZBA is, of course, subject to laws. And your zoning bylaw, which I reviewed before I came here today, mirrors 48 Section 6, the variance statute in Massachusetts, which require that there be some unique condition about the lot. And not just unique in general, but the soil topography, things of that nature. Any attorney, and probably you members of the board are aware of this, it's a very difficult standard to meet. No one is entitled to a variance, and only if you meet the criteria, you're at least entitled to the relief if the board elects to do that. In this case, the applicant is absolutely not entitled to the relief. His own words support, I mean, this is the antithesis of the variance. In his application as to essentially, when you ask about the condition and circumstances, this is on number 9 of his application. Condition and circumstances are unique to the applicant's lot, structure, or building, do not apply to the neighboring land structures or whatever. His answer is, the uniqueness lies in the fact that my lot is identical to the adjoining lots and almost all others on the street, but I'm currently not allowed to build a home on it. Now, that's not what the variance statute requires. There's no uniqueness here. He's saying I'm the same as everybody else. The difficulty here is, and you know, it's unfortunate that Mr. Hahn apparently got a bad opinion from an attorney because this is not a buildable lot. His relief, unfortunately, should be to go back to the Palilios and say, you sold me a lot that's not buildable, get his money back, and unfortunately move on. But he is not entitled to a variance. I think some of the other issues that I think are important to consider here is that there's another house that's affected by this as well. Your zoning bylaws do have prohibitions if you have a non-conforming, and that's what all these are. These are all non-conforming lots, predate zoning, buildings were built on them, they have grandfather protection, except in lot 29 and lot 30 had that similar protection as one lot combined. But what you can't do when you have that grandfather protection, you can't convey out one of the lots, because you make your lot, which in this case is, I'm mixing up my alphabet soup here, but makes 30 non-conforming as well. Once 30 conveys out 29, they are no longer a conforming lot, and they no longer have grandfather protection. Now, we're not looking to, you know, obviously, we're just trying to correct the wrong here. And so what should happen here is that Mr. Hahn should go back, get his money back from these people, because they didn't sell him a buildable lot, they should get their land back, so they still have a conforming lot to zoning, otherwise they have the same problem. So in the nutshell here is that, you know, you have to have some standards, you have to have some showing of what is unique about this particular lot that entitles him to the protection. I know the board, I'm sure the board tries to do the right thing in certain instances, but this is not a de minimis variance he's looking for. The lot size in question, what's it, increased from 20,000 originally to, what is it now, 45,000 is the square footage. I mean, it's over double in size. There is also the other issues, the dimensional issues that have been discussed as well. So, in behalf of my client, I'd ask the board to take the only appropriate action, the only legally tenable position, which is deny the variance. I'm sure this board, this is not meant as in any way as a threat or anything of that nature, but my client will exercise his rights if the board, and I'm sure the board will do the right thing here, but in the unlikely event the board doesn't do the right thing and feels a need to grant a variance in this case, there will be an appeal. I'm sure we can end it here, and there can be relief for the applicant by, as I suggested, what should be done.
I'd like to speak when and if it's appropriate. You say we take your time, I'm in no hurry.
No, go ahead.
I understand that lawyers are trained to be wordsmiths. I've been told this by them. This situation here does not affect William Hahn. He doesn't live next door. He's down the street. Doesn't affect him at all in any way whatsoever. And he would have driven by that for sale sign in that lot. As I say, the sign was up for over a year. It said lots, a lot on top of it. Up for over a year, and it had nothing was done or said during that time that it was up, and for several months after I bought it, nothing was said or done. It was only after somehow it came to his attention that it was me that bought it that it suddenly became an issue with him. I'm currently in the family home, and that my mother died several years ago, and I helped my father build that house. I helped him, that I'm in currently at 34, 36 Hahn Road, helped him save it from being foreclosed, and it was in the will, my mother's will, that I had the right to buy that house and, you know, buy it from, you know, the first refusal on it, to buy it from the family. But apparently the lawyer that wrote it up, there were a lot of word games played, and so my brother ended up bidding about 150% of market value on it. And they were in touch with my mother's lawyer. I don't know if that's legit or not. But he agreed that she wanted it. Didn't say it in a will or anything. In fact, there were notes that said that she later wanted me to just get the house. But anyway, it was in her will, and that exists at court. I'm not saying anything that doesn't exist, that I would buy the house, but he bid it up to 150% of market value. I couldn't go that high, so now I have to be out of there a year from October. He's basically trying to leave me without a place to go. And I would also say on this lot that I bought from the Polio, it's not owned by the abutters, it's owned by Joe and Julia Polio, who are in New Jersey. It's not owned by the people at 30 Everett Circle. It's been considered a lot for years. It's been taxed, as far as I know, and I think the tax records will bear this out, it's been taxed as a separate lot. And Joe Polio has an autistic son, that this is why he had to sell the lot. Because I guess you know, he's not a kid, he's an adult now. He requires a lot of care. He would not have the money to get back for that lot. And as I say, this lot does not affect William Hahn in any way. He had an attorney named Brian Dunn, who was just made a judge, and then he had another lawyer named Mercado, who was an associate of Brian Dunn, but now apparently this gentleman has taken over the case. He wrote to another lawyer, Bobrowski, who wrote that book on technicalities of land use, et cetera, and I guess he sent him an email on April 5th, and I asked him, I don't see the contents of the email, but there was an email sent on April 5th, and I guess he just asked him to find any little detail on the lot that could screw it up, because nobody on the street objected to it. It's the same size as all the other lots in the street. My house is probably the smallest house in the street. There is a large, it's not the only, it's a cape, there is a large colonial across the street. And I don't wanna say too much more, because I know this stuff all gets back, so I'm just saying exactly what the facts are, and I'll leave it at that. There's more to it than meets the eye. He's my brother. And he's an attorney also. I don't know if I made that clear, but he's an attorney also. I think that he's getting this house from my mother's estate that he bid it up to where I couldn't get it. And I still don't know how that happened, but, I don't think he wants me on the same street. I think that may be the gist of it, because he's not in a butter, he's hundreds of feet down the road, and, you know, I throw, from this lot, yes, he's,
You own a white SUV?
does he or do I? I don't know what he drives.
I was here today, it's someone in a white SUV.
Oh, there is, they went by? Oh, that's one of the neighbors, that's Colleen Flolio.
Pulled out of the house. Kept staring at
Okay, yeah, everybody watches everybody else's house there. That's probably Colleen Flolio. She lives a little ways down the street. Yeah, everybody watches everybody's house. They usually tell me, or I tell them if there's cars around that we're not sure of, but I'm sure that's all that was. But my brother's got himself and three other, well, one of them now a judge, so himself and a couple of other lawyers on this too. And I think he's also trying to deplete my resources.
Sure. Sure, be happy to. Yeah, it's Dan Siegenberg. Siegenberg, that's fine, that works.
So Dan, are you saying that owner of that lot is someone different than who we claim you bought it from?
My understanding, my understanding is those lots were in common ownership, same family, but I could be mistaken on that. But the bottom line here is, proof is a different word. It's a question of what information I may have, and I don't want to say something that's incorrect. But the point is, the lots were in common ownership for 13 years. And the building inspector has confirmed that during the applicable period of time. They lost the grandfather protection. This has been decided by the courts in Massachusetts. And, these aren't just technicalities. This is what the law is. So now we're here because there's only one reason we're here, is because the building inspector obviously realized he didn't have a grandfather lot and couldn't.
Didn't they lose that protection once the sale was made from Rutgers?
They lost it a long time ago, actually. Whenever we're put in common ownership, you lose grandfather protection.
Is the common ownership because of those lots were transferred out of the subdivision owners?
I don't have the title on it. I can't tell you that.
That's where
I
think
do know.
there's different rules, though, that apply with subdivisions. I don't know if that's something you discussed with town council. It may be worthwhile to have Attorney Needle get involved in this.
Right.
I mean, I think the other concern I have here is that, to be perfectly honest with you, I do understand what Attorney Siegenberg is saying to us. And we could still maybe make a decision tonight to grant you a variance, but the reality is that you're going to have an appeal here, I suspect. And you're going to be tied up in this for a very, very long time.
I'm sure that's their intent.
Your comments, even though you're not an attorney, right, you're not an attorney?
Correct.
Okay, are very apt in this type of a matter because you're addressing what would probably be addressed in court around standing. But that's still not going to, that's going to take time to address. And you're going to have to deal with that time. And maybe you may prevail ultimately, but by the time you do so, it's going to take a long time to be able to make the argument that you want to make.
I'm sure that's the goal.
I don't particularly think this board likes, I certainly know I don't like being involved in
I don't blame you.
disputes like this,
I don't blame
frankly.
you. You shouldn't be. I agree.
And so that's where, there is probably a lot of legal background to this that may be worthwhile to have some other attorney take a look at. You had a zoning opinion issued to you, and there was I assume a mortgage of some sort issued as a result of that.
Correct. Oh, sure, I'm paying it now. And taxes and everything else, and
Potentially you have title insurance and some other stuff that you can look at. But, I don't certainly want to get in the middle of your family dispute.
yeah, you shouldn't. I agree 100%. This shouldn't, and it was all, as I say, that sign was up for for a year, and there was plenty of time to do this then. It's only after all that that this has been, and I agree, you shouldn't be in the middle of it, but I had to come here, because these are the people I have to ask, and I'm wondering, does somebody who's not abutting this lot have, I mean, I know the people on either side do, to raise questions or whatever, but I don't know if somebody that's not abutting the lot has a right to just come in. I don't know.
This is a public hearing, so anybody can come
anybody.
and talk to us.
Right.
But
I'm just wondering if they
you'd have
leave.
to go to court, and you'd have to have an argument over what standing the people who are appealing it have, but that's, takes time.
Sure, oh, yeah.
It's not gonna be done probably by next October.
Oh, I'm sure that's what they're looking to do.
But I also don't think it's realistic to think that we would just be able to undo a sale either. I mean, that's why, frankly, it may be worthwhile for you to talk to, and
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. That's what they want. I'm sure they're trying to deplete my resources, but I have to do, if I have to do that, I'll do that.
I don't know, I just think this is,
I know, there's no good
Christine
terms
situation.
for it.
I'd be open to not having to be, to offering you a chance to continue it, to give you some time to go and speak to an attorney about this further.
Whatever you guys think.
Well, I think that's the only way you're gonna be able to do anything.
We're gonna be able to.
Yeah, we can't do anything.
Do you want,
He gave us an opinion, that's all, that's all that is an opinion. We don't have any proof. So,
do you think it would be good to have Steve Needle, the guy who did all the research, speak as well?
I don't know.
I think it's helpful, but at the very least, it might be helpful for, have Steve Needle talk to Attorney Siegenberg too, frankly. It sounds like some of this may be something that you guys could work out somehow.
And also, if
I don't know what the title history is either. I suspect he does, so that might be helpful.
Yeah, and someone else did the title. I'm just here today trying to give the best information I have for this board. But obviously, if this is a buildable lot by right,
Right.
this board doesn't have to deal with it.
Absolutely.
It goes to the building inspector, and if there's evidence that would support it's a buildable lot, then it's a buildable lot as of right, and that will be the end of this. But obviously, you only go to variance as last resort, and then if only you meet the standards. Our position, our belief is, based on the information I have, is that it's not a buildable lot. But I can appreciate this board wanting more information to make sure that's at least as a threshold matter, whether it's buildable or not.
There was, I believe, an identical situation down the street in Everett Circle. I can get the number. I should have got that. It's right down near West Street, but it was the same thing where, and it was recent too. It was long after this. It was part of the Everett Wigmore estate. And that lot was the same, that lot was split off relatively recently under the same circumstances.
And probably, it probably, was never in common ownership.
Would that be worth looking at?
Yeah, certainly, it'd be worth it. I just, in good faith, I relied on the attorney's, affidavit and letter that this was a buildable lot. I issued
And so did the
building,
bank.
a building permit, and I thought that this would be a way that, what I understand from town council is that it's arguable whether the timing on this appeal of my decision or the informing me of my alleged error is, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, I thought that John Hahn could come back to this board and get a little bit clean up, which is a potential, title problem like going forward. And I didn't realize it was such a can of worms. And it's just a really unfortunate situation.
And as I would say, there was over a year that would have been driven by many, many times that the lot was for sale. And it was never questioned then.
I have one question on your letter.
Yep.
You have September 19th, 2013 for Attorney Needle.
Yep.
But you also have June 7th, 2013 from Attorney Dunn, who's telling you that it was an error, but Mr. Needle said that the title search says it's good for a buildable lot.
Yeah, and then that doesn't make sense. In typing up that letter, I may have transposed some dates. I need to double check that. That doesn't make sense.
Probably 2012.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was the difference between 2012 and not 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I meant to say.
Well, that's what I had a feeling
Yeah,
of.
September 9th, 2012 is the letter from Attorney Needle.
Attorney Needle's the attorney for the seller.
Yeah.
He's not my lawyer.
Yeah, he was representing the Polilios, the couple who sold.
But he would have to get in touch with this attorney Dunn, is that correct?
Dunn's now a judge.
Oh.
So I think this Attorney Seitenberg, I think, has taken over this.
I'm handling the matter, but to the extent that Attorney Needle represented the seller, that would have meant that there was a mortgage on the property, so there's a bank's attorney somewhere, and somebody would have issued a title policy on
Right.
this thing.
Well, the bank would have gotten at least title
I
insurance.
kinda thought they did, but I don't know that for sure, but I'll call them.
You would have had to have got at least mortgage.
Right.
Yeah, I would think
Mortgage
so.
title insurance. Maybe whether you've got owners or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
but the mortgage title may even actually cover this situation, I don't know. It's something to investigate with your mortgage company.
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
So,
This is all I don't wanna do it right now, because I know everybody wants to get out of here, but this is the paperwork from the bank. Everything that we signed and initialed at the closing, it's about an inch thick.
Well, somewhere in there, there should be a title.
I can go,
Policy of
I don't
some
think
sort.
anybody wants me to go through this right
No,
now.
but I'm suggesting
I
you may
will.
want to go through it and find
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely. I knew it at the time, but it was, quite a while ago.
want to continue this?
I think that or,
I mean.
I don't think he wants us to make a decision right now.
No.
I'm happy to,
No.
if you're willing to continue it, I'm happy to do that.
Whatever you guys think is best, because I've never done this before, so what you think will work?
We haven't either.
Exactly.
Not this, yeah, I know.
This is different, definitely a different situation.
Yes, it is.
All right, so I make a motion that,
January 9th?
well, I don't know, you may need some time. Why don't you say that he's going to,
But you need
We
a
need a
place and
date.
date and time,
date?
yeah.
Give him till 23rd?
Why don't we do,
January 9th.
well, you can go to January 23rd, that'll give him second meeting. Oh, no, it's up to him.
I would take, that would give like about 2.5 months. I would go with that.
Which one?
January 9th, if that's good
Okay,
for the rest of
sure.
you.
And as you saw the way things go, we'll put you down for 7:32, but you probably won't get on until 8 o'clock.
I don't think there'll be World Series games still being played then, though, so they'll be all right.
Could be this.
one bit of information
We're
also
gonna
to
need a
share with the board.
continuance though from him, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it was 1-0 St. Louis beating Boston 6th inning.
Well, thanks, I was trying to tape it. So, I think we need a continuance from him because we have to put a decision in by January 2nd.
Okay, so if you could write, paper here. What did I say, January 9th? So
Would it be
maybe-
better to have it before January 2nd?
And
If you can either give Mr., you got paper, with a piece of paper, or just put down that you're willing to give us a continuance until January,
you have to write the decision too.
can't go past January.
You're gonna have to write it out.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, you can do February.
uh,
So if we were to vote on it
second
on the,
and fourth will be 13th. If he did
Yeah.
it on the 9th,
yeah, then that would give us,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
yeah.
Give us until, you're willing to continue the case until, no, you're willing to give us a continuance until February 13th,
2014.
2014. Had to think that one out.
To issue a decision. Right, to issue a decision.
Yeah, to issue a decision.
I'm willing to agree to a continuance until February 13th.
Yeah, for us to
2014,
for a decision. And you're gonna come back on January,
to issue a decision.
Yes.
January 9th.
This is all I got so far. I am willing to agree to a continuance until February 13th, 2014, to issue a decision, and as far as I got it,
In this case.
in this case,
On case number 4106.
in case number 4106.
And sign your,
Okay.
sign your name and date it.
Give that to, oh, I gotta sign it too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I asked that before, and I'm not. I like to meet him sometime. I don't know, but people ask me that.
Motion to continue gets seconded, I didn't hear.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Did you second it?
Sure, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I was in favor. Okay, we have one continuance. Set.
I'm good. Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry about this.
No. Zoning Board of Appeal, Town of Stoughton. Notice of public hearing. A public hearing will be held in Town Hall Conference Room, the room 301, third floor, 10 Pearl Street, on October 24, 2013, at 10 p.m. on a petition of Charles and Jeanette Sullivan, case number 4101, for a finding under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 6, under the Town of Stoughton zoning bylaw of 1970 as amended. Section 6B, Table of Dimensional Density Regulations relative to the side yard setback in order to construct a two-story garage located at 71 Everett Circle, further identified in Assessors Plan 27, Lot 23, in an RB zone in said Stoughton. Any person desiring to be heard in this, to receive further notice concerning this petition as provided by the general rules of the Zoning Board of Appeals should file a written request containing his or her name and address with the board. Petitioner is representative of any other person desiring to be heard in this matter should appear at the time and place designated. It's continued to October 10th to October 24th.
Bill Bibas from Guaranteed Builders, representing this evening. I know you've been supplied with a smaller version on these, but it was not dated with the revision, and these particular copies are, and a little bit larger for everyone to look at. Thank you, sir, and for the building, excuse me for reaching over you.
That's okay.
Should be some over there. There you go. To recap previous meetings, the Sullivans have contracted with Guaranteed Builders to construct a garage and media room and bedroom on a second floor with a bath. Some of the concerns of the board were that the plans that were provided were a little on the vague side and really didn't show a true picture. On A5 of your packet, you will see that a chimney has an extension on it. That was a question from the board before, and it shows that it will be higher than the proposed addition. The other one on page A6 was a separation. The existing deck was protruding over farther than what the reality is, and it shows on A6 that the separation between the proposed addition is is such. The other question, or was brought up on A2, was the garage door itself was a little on the centered side, and it was positioned over to the right to further itself away from, and there was some confusion as to the foundation of the existing fireplace, and it shows where the fireplace is that does not protrude into the garage opening. The request for relief on the side setback position is proposed would be 8'2" from the sideline. So we'd be looking for a dimensional relief of 11.8 from the sideline. It meets all of the other criteria for rear setback, front setback, and any other questions? Do believe that we've answered the board's concerns as to the design of the existing structure and the proposed new structure. And you can see on the revision side that it is dated today, 10/24, on all of the pages.
So from the new structure to the property line,
8.2 feet.
8.2 feet from
So we're looking for a relief of 11.8.
How far is it from, how far is it from the property line to the house?
Approximately 15.
They have 15 feet from their house to your house.
No, to
And then
the
you-
property line.
Their house to the property line.
Their house to the property, to their property line, which is the common property line.
And then they have footage from their house to the property line also, correct? Am I-
The existing house on the, beside them is
Right.
15 feet from the property line,
From their property line?
which
And
is,
then they'll have another 8.5 feet.
correct,
Their house.
So there's like 22, 23 feet between
correct,
them.
correct.
Because I went by there, I mean, I know, I know it wasn't that close. Questions, Mr. Carter?
No question from me.
I don't have any more questions.
I don't have any questions.
Too late for questions.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did we shorten the garage?
No.
Because I thought we were, oh, okay, 12 feet. For some reason, I thought it was more. Okay. Let's see, anybody in the audience want to speak? Guess not. What's the wish of the board?
I'll make a motion that, find that this addition is not substantially or detrimental to the neighborhood. Finding.
Is there a second? Want a second?
No, you can't.
Steve did. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Oh. I gotta be either the mean guy or the good guy, huh? I'm for it. Only because I've gone by it a million times now, and I don't think it'll be that bad. So, would you like to make a decision? Write a decision?
Yes, I'll write it.
I'm sure you heard me 100 times, but we'll probably write it at the next meeting, before the next meeting, which would be November 14th, 9th. And then it takes, there's a 20-day appeal period. But in the meantime, you can talk with the building inspector. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, we have, you know what, we'll do the minutes at the next meeting. It's late.
Just one vote in the negative?
Oh, wait a minute, do we have to sign a decision?
We gotta do the,
Oh.
This vote here on this one.
just one vote?
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, thank you, ladies.
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
think we wanna
To Mary and she can make them.
Okay,
do these decisions.
Call me if you have
Yeah.
questions.
Okay.
The ones that I haven't given her, I'm fine.
okay.
Um,
Will do.
Everybody read the decisions they got in the mail? I'm not gonna do the minutes. That'll
I
take
just
us
gave
too long.
I gave Mary a couple of edits when I went through them, so it'll be worth our while to wait anyways.
For what?
The minutes.
Oh.
When I went through them, I had some edits.
We can do the decisions.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for this
Oh.
one, so go ahead.
You weren't?
No.
Nope. Okay.
I make a motion, we accept the decision on case number 4102 as written.
For a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, it's gotta be me.
Thanks for picking those up. It was just, I'm supposed to do the other one then. Good. Which one's the sold one? Those two? Yeah, you can do it. I
Okay.
am so busy, it's,
You weren't on either one of these.
I've been driving back and
I
forth
can
to
do
Mashpee
Slade
every
if you
day.
need.
It's killing
You
me.
need me to do Slade, or does someone else wanna pick it up?
You get back, you don't feel like doing anything.
First
for
one, remember that one that we did so long ago?
15 minutes.
This was insane.
I make a motion, we accept the decision as written in case number 4103.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Were you in for this?
Not that one.
Who was the alternate?
Cindy.
Go in the front, oh, well,
You only need 4
Only need
signatures.
four signatures.
That way if we get challenged, you don't get, right. What's that? Nothing, just.
I'll accept that. Did you make it?
Motion to adjourn, yeah, I was.
All in favor?
Oh.
Chairman? He wants to talk to you.